chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has joined calls for the restructuring of the country before 2027, saying Nigeria is failing. Professor Tare Jaga, who insisted that the country will be considered a failed state if it does not provide for the security, welfare, and basic needs of its citizens. Jaga affirmed his position on the state of the country political economy while delivering a lecture safeguarding Nigerians' future, prioritizing citizens' welfare and security amidst challenges of Nigeria at the maiden convocation of the Bauchi State University, GADA. The former INEC chief said the profound challenges which currently is bedeviling Nigeria can be said to be structural, systemic, and also related to value orientation. He also added that before 2027, some restructuring of Nigerian Federation should be embarked upon through evidence-based constitutional reforms, the objective of which should be to deconcentrate powers and resources from the federal tier and to spread them to those of the state and local government, he said on Friday. He added that there was no need for the creation of additional states and believed decentralizing resources will reduce the cost of governance, which he feels presently is too high and needs to be drastically cut. His call is coming at a time most Nigerians are already feeling hopeless as it concerns governance and the many challenges that seems to be bedeviling the nation, and is seriously looking for an alternative to the present structure that many feels is not just working. But the big question and the big story for today is, why are some Nigerians not open to the idea of restructuring? And if we restructure, will it not be the same political class that will be governing the different regions? Well, a look at this and more as it concerns restructuring is what this edition of the big story is all about. And we're talking about the federal system of governance and a call for restructuring. And that's what we're having as a major discourse today on the big story. We're talking about the federal system of governance and the growing call for restructuring. And to help us talk about this, I'm being joined by two lovely guests in the house. And well, definitely, you know, we need to talk extensively about this. And I have no other person but activist Kevin Ojomodo. He's the National Secretary, Human Rights and Protection Congress, and also the State PRO Committee for the Defense of Human Rights. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mr. Ray. Good morning, viewers and listeners. Compliment of the season.
Well, anyway, as much as we compliment, or rather give them compliments of the season, it is also right we bring in our season analyst. And we're talking of no other person but Comrade Efodomo. Good morning and welcome to the show also, sir.
Yeah, good morning. I'm very comfortable this morning because I'm sitting with a human rights defender. So you know how to talk to me, otherwise I will bring him in and
well, anyway, we'll not make you push us through that route rather, but rather stick to it. And I really want to start with you, Comrade Kevin Ojomodo. Professor Jaga, Tare Jaga said a lot on Friday during that lecture. He talked about reforms in the judiciary, cut down the cost of governance. He talked of reforms of the Electoral Act 2022, amongst others. But one that would remain to re-echo is the issue of restructuring. And I'll just really go to what he said and go through his words. He said, with regards to the structure of the Nigerian Federation, I highly recommend as follows, that before 2027, some form of restructuring should be embarked upon through evidence-based constitutional reform, and the objective of which should be to decentralize power and resources from the federal tier and rather spread among the state and local governments. I'll really be keen to get your reactions to his very comment. That's number one. And do you feel that the present system of governance is basically the bane of our problem as it stands? So I want you to react to his statement calling for reform between now and 2027. And do you feel the current system of governance is the very reason we are deep neck into some of the challenges we're facing at present.
Thank you very much. I think personally I must commend Professor Attairu Jega, whom after his election as the INEC chairman, he has been making some statement for national interest and integration, which has shown that he's a good stakeholder, he's a statesman, and also wish for the betterment of the general populace. Having said that, I would say yes, restructuring. We've been echoing it. I think the conference that was held during the President Goodluck Jonathan's administration was also centered around what? Restructuring. And thank God that Professor Attairu Jega has also hit the nail on the head by saying, let's restructure this country at this critical time of our existence as a people. I think is a good way to go. Then for whether our system of government is in tandem with restructuring, I would say, I keep saying it every day, democracy is still alien to Nigeria. In practice, it's different from what it ought to be in Nigerian context. What I see in Nigerian template is oligarchy system of government. The government of the few, by the few, and for the few. And not a democratic system of government where the needs of the people is paramount. Where the people decide their fate. Where the rule of law is sacrosanct. Where there's separation of powers within the three organs of government. The tiers of government. But in Nigerian context, what we see is whatever is done in Abuja, it's binding on all states and local government. And at the end of the day, what do we see? Abuse of office. Failure to respect court orders. Failure to enforce court judgment. All of this has brought us to a lacuna, whereby there's a very huge division between the federal character and the state character and the local government character. I can't remember the last time we saw our local government turning earth roads. I think I saw that last during the military administration, where local government are doing they're tying some link roads, major earth road linking to the states. But I think for decades now, we've not seen all of that happen. The only thing we see them doing is empowerment.
So all you're saying is not that this present system of governance is the issue, but are you talking about the structure? Because it's all about the structure. Are you saying the federal system of governance seems not to be working, or you feel the devolution of power is not really being spelt out with this current system of governance? Let's try to understand.
Very well. The federal system of government at the moment seems not to be working. Because for you to have a federal system of government, there must be devolution of powers. Each tier must have their autonomy to run their resources and replicate back to the center. Probably before now, we have the dichotomy for the sharing dichotomy. Then we're into oil, timber, and cocoa and rubber. It was 50-50-50. 50 for the host state and 50 for the federal government. But now what do we have in the version of oil? We have only 30% being given to the host state. Community. So what does that tell you? There is a lacuna.
Okay, well then I'll plead with you to hold on. Let me bring Comrade F.L. Domo into it. Like I said, he spoke extensively on Friday. He talked about great reforms as it concerns even the electoral body, which he was once a chairman under. And not only that, he talked about the economy, which he feels is really not where it should be at the moment. But in all of that, let's just stick ourselves with what he said. Restructure. Restructure now before 2027, because as he said, Nigeria is not a failed state, but it's failing. So let's look at the issue. I really want your reaction as it concerns that his very statement of restructure now between now and 2027. And also, do you also feel that our federal system of governance is the reason we're going through these mounting challenges that seems not to be going anywhere anytime soon?
Yes, thank you, Mike, and also thank you, Comrade Calvin. You see, when you say Nigeria is failing,
yes,
it's an understatement. That means the indices in Nigeria today that is working. The medical the profession is almost gone. The law profession, they give different types of judgments of the cause of the same appellate generation having different judgments being churned out on a daily basis. And only this immediate past week, they appointed the former Chief Justice to head the reform to put in place a proper judgment from the courts. I have to tell you that the courts have also failed. Two, number three now, the economy is in a comatose. We don't know what happens in the next minute. The banks have started holding money. Some banks now you cannot even do transfer. And we are talking of his failing. Now, as far as I'm concerned, we're only painting the situation to make us have some hopes. Now, who even started this main issue of Nigeria failing? Was it not the person? We're in a state where you had several Boko Haram dislocations, 4 million people registered for elections. 4 years later, the same 4 million people voted, the same 4 million people voted for a particular person, and you came out to defend that position. Now you have put us in this quagmire. We are not talking about failing state. Who are the architects of this failing state?
But is it the system of governance?
I will come to that.
Yeah, because of time, because we really want to understand where we lie. We'll have a lot to ask about.
Something gave birth to the system of governance, which Kelvin has done justice. Something gave birth to the system of governance. In Nigeria today, we believe that a particular section of the country is anointed to be the ruler or to rule over other areas of the country. The executive system of government we have is not helping issues. Where you have so much power vested at the center, where you have so much powers that the center is using to oppress the lower divisions. When we had regional government then, when we had regional government, the West was doing well with their cocoa and other palm produce, the East was doing well with their coal and other things, the North was
okay, I really want us to come there, but before we do, let's look at it. Basically, it will be unthinkable that the call for restructuring will be coming or being said loud in Bauchi. Normally, you will not think towards that line that such a call will be said in Bauchi like it was on Friday because of the region. But that's not where my question lies now. My question lies now is that why is this growing call for restructuring? Look, what is necessitating such call that seems to be growing loudest, irrespective of the region where it's been re-echoed? It seems to be growing louder by the day. What's necessitating it?
Do you know that Nigeria is one of the most blessed countries on earth, but because of our bad leadership, we are still where we are today? Do not think that because the North, they've been holding powers for such a long time, not all of them are comfortable. There is difference between Fulani and the House Hammer. If you go deep down in them, you will know that there is a lot of divisions between them. So they are not comfortable at all, having them in power. And if that is the position, you have some people in the North who are also marginalized, even worse than the southern region. But when somebody like Jega is talking about that should be restructuring, he must be talking based on the fact that he knows it's only the person that stands in the water that can tell you the type of fish he's stepping upon. And that is what Jega is doing now. We have been calling for restructuring long ago. So what he's saying is not a new thing in the
but funny enough, he's coming from the North and he made that green call right there in Bauchi, which is quite unthinkable. At this time of the period. Yeah, Comrade Kevin Ojumodo, you want to see?
Yes, you see, in retrospect, that's why I had to commend him. Because one thing is to speak truth to power, regardless of whose heart is God and where we're coming from. Now, he has seen the template. But when, during the President Goodluck Jonathan's administration, if they are put into context, into play, the outcome of the confab, it was centered about restructuring. That let the federating unit.
So you felt we missed a golden opportunity.
We missed it. Absolutely, we missed it.
The documents are still there.
We missed it. As in, adopt it and make
talk about implementation.
And make it a working document going forward. If it had been done, then by now it would have been stable. Now he's projecting to 2027, which I think is too long a time. Nigeria is still on a keg of gunpowder. We need to renegotiate this country as quick as possible. Let the federating units have the power, control their resources, and remit to the center.
As it was in 1960s.
As was in 1960s. Because in all of this you will see now, each region, the agitation we're seeing today is because there's no restructuring. Each region feel marginalized. We in Nigeria will tell you that there's oil spill, we will not be catered for, but even our own leaders here have embezzled our money for NDDC projects over the years. So outside just being restructuring, we must hold leaders accountable. People must go to prison.
So it's not just a matter of restructure, but also look at the leaders. Okay, I'll plead with both of you. Yeah.
We cannot have a complete restructuring without eliminating the issue of selfish politics. It's a follow-up of what Kevin has just said now. If you have a major project in Nigeria, one major project, they will prefer it in the North. If you have two major projects, they will prefer one in the North, one in the South. And when it comes to the South,
but that's more like federal character, and that's more like spreading.
Federal character issue. It is the politics of selfishness.
Okay, now I know this discussion is really going to get heated. I'll plead with both of you to hold on. We need to go on a break now. But when we come back, we'll continue our discussion centered on restructuring, especially coming from no other but the former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Atariru Jega, screaming out that loud just during the weekend in Bauchi. Who would ever imagine that such green call would be stated right there in Bauchi? But that's not where it stands. Is it all about restructuring of the regions or restructuring of our mindset? Let's go on a break and we'll come back and have more talk.